Hello, welcome to My Life in Spain. My name is Mark, and today we want to talk about should you move to Spain or not? Things you need to think about before you actually commit to the move. Now, I've been seeing on YouTube lately a lot of videos about people talking about leaving the United States, and quite frankly, I don't blame them. The cost of living in America is just going up and up and up, and wages seem to be staying the same. It's crazy. It really is crazy. All the utility prices are going up. The cost of food's going up. Rent is ridiculous. And yeah, if I was an American, I might be thinking I want to go as well. And then there's, of course, the political side to everything, where you've got Donald Trump, who I can't figure him out to save my life. I used to work for him and I hated the man. But, and this was long before he became a politician. I think he's got an attention span of like a 3-year-old. He talks a big game about stuff. He's going to do this. I'm going to bring prices down. I stopped 3 wars. I stopped 5 wars. I stopped 7 wars. I'm going to stop the Ukraine war in 24 hours. Where are we? Anyway, enough of Donald Trump and my dislike for the horrible human being that he is. And let's talk about, should you move to Spain? Well, you need to think long and hard. I mean, especially if you've never actually lived outside of the United States or the UK before. I mean, going somewhere to live permanently is a lot different than visiting on a vacation. You have a lot of things to consider. Number one, unless your company transfers you to one of their branches in Spain, don't think you're going to come to Spain and make any money. I mean, it's nigh on impossible. I mean, it's to get a job, you'd have to be fluent in Spanish. You need to have a skill that somebody would want. And you need the permission to work. So, I mean, if you're coming on a non-lucrative visa, it means you can't work. If you're coming on a... What's the name of it? I can't even remember now what it's called. But they had a golden visa before. But again, you couldn't work. If you want to come here and work, you've got to have a special visa to do it, a work permit. They do exist, but they're generally for highly specialized jobs. A lot of people come here. They have the idea. Okay, I did a TEFL course. I'm a teacher. I can teach English and make a living that way. Yeah, you can probably get a teaching job off the books where you don't have any health insurance or anything, but the pay will be terrible. And they'll expect you to work in the morning, go home from 2 o'clock till 8 o'clock, and then come back till 10 o'clock at night. And if you're lucky, you'll make €8 an hour. Perhaps in Barcelona or Madrid they pay a bit more, but it's where I live, that's the kind of pay you can expect to get. So don't come to Spain if you think you can get a job and make money. If you're a digital nomad and you make money anywhere, then yeah, you can give it a go. You can get the non-lucrative visa and give it a go, but you'll still need to have private health insurance, which again is not that expensive. I mean, if you're moving here on a non-lucrative visa, I have a friend who's 74 years old, and he has amazing insurance, and he pays less than €200 a month for it. And he's recently had all kinds of tests. He stayed in the hospital overnight, and he said it was like being in a luxury resort. So for less than €200 a month, that's probably a lot less than you're paying in America now. All right, so we got that out of the way. You don't want to move to Spain if you're moving here to make money. Okay, so let's say you don't need money. You've got a pension, or you've got income, and you just want to move and you want to find the right place to live. Now, that's going to depend on you. In my case, I came here for a vacation to visit my mother, who'd retired in Spain, and I absolutely loved it. And I went back to New Jersey, and as soon as I got back, I started working on how can I leave here and go move to Spain. So I was in my early 50s, and I needed to find a way to make money. So the way I did it was I bought a bar. Now, not a bar on the coast where the tourists go, but a bar in a small town inland of about 12,000 people. But there were a lot of British and Scandinavians and Dutch people, Germans that lived near around in the what they call the campo here, the countryside. And I got by. It was long hours, very long hours, and you didn't really make a lot of money because you had so much competition. But we managed, and eventually somebody came in and offered to buy the bar from me, and I sold it. And I said, "Yeah, fine, great. Here you go. Here's the keys." And would I do that again? No, it's too much work for the money. It's really, really not worth it. I mean, you're constantly working. You're thinking, what do I need to buy for tomorrow? What's the weather going to be like? It's a lot of work. And then, of course, you've got to pay the tax. If you've got to be self-employed in Spain, it's about 300 euros a month. So it's very expensive as well. So if you, let's say you come here and you want to teach yoga or something, you're going to have to pay 300 a month just to be able to work autonomous, is what they call it. So anyway, work aside now. Now you're moving to Spain. And should you live in a big city? Should you live in Madrid or Barcelona or Valencia? Or should you live in a smaller town? Now, most people, if they've been here as a tourist, they've been to the cities. They've not been to the smaller towns because they're harder to get to. For me, it wasn't so difficult because I'd traveled a lot in my life. My father was in the army, so we lived in the UK, we lived in Germany, we lived in Italy, we lived in Fort Jackson, South Carolina, Fort Carson in Colorado Springs. So I moved around a lot. And then when I finished my high school, a couple years later, I got a job in Lebanon, in Beirut. Now, when I was at school, I went to school in the UK. I lived with my grandparents because my parents were stationed in Italy, and there wasn't a high school there for me to go to. So I studied French for 5 years. And then when I went to Lebanon, everybody spoke French. That's like the second language. So I became pretty good in speaking the French language. And then, of course, Italy, I learned Italian. So don't forget, I'm young here. When I'm in Italy, I'm a youngster. So it's always easier to learn languages when you're younger. I never studied a single word of Spanish before I moved here. So I moved to Spain, not speaking any Spanish except perhaps taco and burrito or, enchilada, what else? There's things like stupid words like that. And I had to adapt. But interestingly, there's the area I chose to live, which is in the Comunidad Valenciana. I live in a city called Alcoy, which is about 35 minutes inland from Alicante. They speak their own language, which is Valenciano. They speak Castellano is the national language that everybody speaks, but the autonomous communities have their own languages. For example, there's Valenciano, which is like a combination of Castellano, Italian, and French. And then you've got Catalan, which is where Barcelona is, Catalonia. That's similar to Valenciano. They actually say that Valenciano is a dialect of Catalan. Now, Catalan they also speak in the Balearic Islands, in Mallorca and Ibiza. And there's also a little tiny spot in northwest Sardinia where they speak Catalan too. So there's a language all of its own. Then, of course, you've got the Basque Country. They have their own language, which, here, I'll give you an example here. If you want to say cheers in Basque, it's topa. So topa. Then you've got Galician, Aragonese, and I'm probably forgetting one. There's probably another one I've forgotten, or a regional autonomous language. So depending on where you decide to move, people might be speaking a language you didn't know. You might have studied Spanish, but when you go out on the streets and listen to people, they're speaking their own language. It doesn't mean they won't understand you if you speak Spanish, because they will. Everybody has to learn Spanish at school here. But when they're not in school, they speak amongst themselves in their own language. So where do you want to live? The cities are expensive. If you want to rent, the rents are high. I guess you could, I'm just using Valencia for an example. You could probably expect to pay for a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment around 1,200 euros a month for a nice apartment. Where I live, probably you're looking at about 600 a month, which I don't think is bad if you've got an income coming in. If you don't speak any Spanish and you have trouble learning it, you're probably better off looking at places around the Costa Blanca, which is all the Alicante coastline, and Murcia to the south a little bit, because it's full of expats and you don't even need to speak Spanish if you live down there. The downside to it is you're going to pay a little bit more, and you'll be living in like Little England or Little Norway or Little Amsterdam, what have you. It's very foreigner heavy. So you can actually live in these places and never have to learn to speak Spanish at all. The same goes for the Costa del Sol. If you live in Torrex or Marbella or anywhere along the coast down there, it's so many foreigners that, and they're so used to the influx of tourists that pretty much everybody speaks English. So you won't have any trouble with that. I mean, even the Dutch and Germans and Norwegians all speak English as well. So there's no problem in communicating. Here where I am, like I say, I live in Alcoy. It's 62,000 people. Very few people will speak in English. So, but nowadays I can speak Spanish. I've been here 15 years, so I should be able to speak something by now, right? Okay, so that's the first thing to think about. Where am I going to live? Now, when you decide to come here, please visit and stay for a while and rent a place first. Rent for a year and see if you really like the area that you've decided that could be your next home. Don't rush in and buy something. I mean, I bought our apartment, but we'd already lived here for 6 years before I bought this. So it wasn't like, spur of the moment thing. Okay, next thing people don't think about. The weather. You'll think Spain is hot and sunny all the time and the weather's wonderful and it's, just a great climate. Well, yes and no. Everywhere in Spain can get warm in the summer. If you like the greenery and the colder weather and a lot of rain, go live in Galicia. Live in the northwest of Spain, because that would suit you better. It's more like the UK and Ireland. It's green, it's lovely, but the weather kind of sucks unless that's what you like. Here where I live, the summers are very, very hot. When I say hot, you're talking about over 40 degrees centigrade, which is over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It's extremely hot. And then because I'm up in the mountains, I think I'm at an altitude of around 1,800 feet. In the winter, occasionally we get snow. But on the days, even other days, when it's not snowing, which is a rare occurrence, by the way, it's still cold and miserable. And the houses and apartments here are not built with insulation. So you'll feel it. You'll feel the cold and you'll feel the heat in the summer. I mean, I know people that live here, when August rolls around, they leave the country because it's just too hot for them. So think carefully about that, as well as where, you know, inland or by the sea where you want to live. Third thing now, the third or fourth, I don't remember. Spain isn't the UK and it's not America. People are in no hurry here. They're not rushing around. Money is not the big thing for them. They're more into their family, food, friends. There's no rush. I mean, if you go to a restaurant, you can sit there for hours and nobody will say, "Oh, here's your check," because they want you out so they can make more money. Because the tipping culture doesn't exist here. I mean, if I go to a restaurant and let's say my bill is 49 euros, I might say, okay, take 55 or something. But that's the only time I do it. In bars, you don't tip. And nobody's in a hurry. If you want to get something done, let's say you need an electrician, and the electrician says, okay, I'll be there Monday. Ask him what Monday, this next one or the one after? Because you never know. Nobody ever shows up on time. If they say, I'll be there at 8 o'clock, if you're lucky by 9, they'll show up. That's not saying anything bad about the Spanish. I actually like it. I like that nobody's in a rush. They all take their time. Nobody's stressed out here. So you have to get used to that. You're going to have to learn to slow down. Slow down and go with the flow. For me, it was difficult in the first 3 months. I remember going in a greengrocer and there was a bench there. It's a little shop, little greengrocer shop. There's a bench. I'm thinking, why they got a bench in here? And then after the owner talking to a customer for 20 minutes, I realized you got to sit down and wait. Wait till they're done. You know, how's your kids? How's your mother doing? How's this? It just takes forever. So don't stress out. Learn to slow down. Next thing for people, if you're going to miss your family and your friends, it's going to be hard for you. So that's a big consideration to think about. It can be tough for a lot of people. I mean, I have a friend now, the American I mentioned earlier about the health insurance. He's going back to Florida in a couple of weeks' time. No, less than that, even less, about a week's time, because his children still live there. And he said to me yesterday, he says, you know what, I'm really not looking forward to going back. I'm only going back to see the kids. I said, yeah, I know. You'll see when you're back again how expensive it is and how fast the pace of life is and how unhealthy the food is, which it is, by the way. I mean, here in Spain, we're very lucky. We eat really healthy, fresh, seasonal food, and we buy it locally. It's more expensive than it used to be, but it's still very, very affordable. Now, living in Spain is probably the best thing I ever did. And if you're serious, when I say living, I mean moving to Spain is probably the best thing I ever did. And if you're serious about it, visit first, rent for a year, and then you'll know. But the way things are in America, even in the UK for that matter, it's just too expensive. I mean, here you can live okay, you can live good. Spain's a first world country. We've got high-speed trains. We've got great airports. It's a lovely place to live. But think very hard before you come. There's a lot of headaches you're going to jump through, hurdles you're going to have to go through. I forgot to mention bureaucracy. Bureaucracy here is a nightmare. There's actually people whose job is to handle the bureaucracy for you. They're called hesters. You pay them and they'll go and take care of all the stuff, government offices where you need to get things done because they know the people who work there. If you went in to try and do it yourself, you'd be completely lost. Anyway, thank you for listening. I hope this has been helpful for you. I love Spain, and if you want to move here, just think hard. Make sure you want to do it before you take the jump. But I certainly don't regret it. I love it here. I have a great life. I have great Spanish friends. It's a wonderful place to live. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you want to see more videos about Spain, I'll be doing some traveling soon. I didn't go anywhere during the summer because there's just too many tourists, and it's a nightmare. So I'd rather wait till the tourists have gone home, and then I'll go and take a few trips. Okay guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.